Now at 10, a Southeast Kansas murder suspect enters a guilty plea. Plus, pour your own, the Oklahoma law that's eliminating the middleman at the bar. And local health officials respond to the FDA's emergency use authorization for Pfizer's COVID vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Cherokee County man pleads guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder. This is KOAM News at 10. Authorities say Mark Hopkins II of Columbus shot and killed Blaze Shank of Scammon and Kylan Shook of Pittsburgh in June of 2020. Hopkins also faces an aggravated escape from custody charge after he and another Cherokee County inmate escaped in May. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol is investigating the death of a woman found 3 miles north of Commerce, Oklahoma. The OSBI says that woman has been identified as 47-year-old Tony Moran, also known as Tony Torres. Torres was arrested for the 2003 drowning death of her 17-month-old son. A judge found that Torres was insane and ordered her to the care of a mental hospital. She was released in 2011. Joplin police released the names of 3 officers involved in the fatal shooting of an assault suspect. They are Officer Pete Box, Officer Daryl Klink, and Sergeant Jason Stump. JPD says all 3 officers are currently on paid administrative leave per department policy and procedure. The police department says the officers were involved in the fatal shooting of Joseph Endicott, who was a suspect in an assault. Authorities say the investigation is ongoing and they have not released why the officers shot Endicott. Nick Kelly, it's getting pretty chilly out there.
Yeah, so as that cloud cover continues to erode from a few spots down, we are going to see temperatures turn rather cold as we go throughout the course of the night. Can't deny, though, we're looking still nice and quiet from Joplin outside. 40 this morning, but with some early peaks of the sun, hey, we'll take the high of 53 degrees, considering I was expecting upper 40s for today. But after that last hurrah of rain chances this morning, look at the cloud cover trying to erode across a number of us. So it's no wonder we're seeing the frost advisories on the Kansas side and freeze warnings for much of southwest Missouri and around Grand Lake staying in place until we hit 9 o'clock on our Thursday morning. In fact, temperatures have already dropped off quite a bit with the clearing clouds. 35 already in Fort Scott, 39 in Webb City, still some mid-40s once you hop south of I-44, but the overall trend will be lower to middle 30s as we continue with partly cloudy skies throughout the night. Thankfully, down once we get past our cold start in the morning, we'll have highs bouncing back near 53 and the temperatures trend warmer for the weekend. We'll break down those numbers here in a bit.
See you then. A number of Oklahoma laws took effect this week. They include one that could change the way customers consume their alcohol while also handling workforce shortages. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky speaks with industry experts and the manager of a restaurant in Grove for tonight's Making It Work report.
Jason Evans has been in the restaurant industry for a long time.
Over in Joplin at Red Hot and Blue with Mitch Allen, and was there for a few years, and then ended up going to Wichita and ran some places, Old Chicago, Fox and Hounds.
And says in all his experience, he's never seen a workforce shortage this bad.
I've been doing this a long time and never seen a situation like we're in right now.
But some newly passed Oklahoma legislation is aimed at fixing this, while also giving customers a more enjoyable experience. The new law allows patrons to serve themselves beer and wine from an automated machine. Patrick Lively from the Craft Brewers Association of Oklahoma says he believes this is a step in the right direction after seeing the industry struggle for over 18 months and believes the new law could help with that.
We're seeing people reduce their hours because they can't staff them or keep portions of their restaurants or bars closed because they're unstaffed. I definitely think there's a huge motivation there.
Evans says although the law is new, he won't rule out bringing it to his own business.
They've got them at baseball stadiums and different things where, you just put your cup on the thing and that little spigot deal and it fills up your beer and then you just go on down the road. There's definitely some potential for us to be able to do something like that here.
Especially as he and other area businesses say they struggle due to low staffing.
Because everybody's so short-staffed. I literally have cooks in the back that are fielding phone calls from other restaurants saying, hey, can you come work for me?
In Grove, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The self-serve alcohol machines will serve people only up to 32 ounces of beer, 10 ounces of wine. Employees will be able to keep track of the exact amount and make sure the customer is served and charged properly. It's a sign of the competitive nature of the American job landscape right now. Companies beefing up their perks to attract new employees and retain workers as the nation deals with that growing worker shortage. Jen Sullivan has a closer look at what's being offered and why some are still choosing to stay away from the job market.
It's a good time to be looking for a job in America. Companies are rolling out the red carpet to attract new talent as more people leave the workforce, leading to what some are calling the Great Resignation.
What we're seeing, I think, in a lot of cases is one is the pandemic is wreaking havoc and fear on people as far as going back to work.
And it's issue number one for companies as COVID continues to reshape the jobs market. A census survey found nearly 5 million people are not working because they're taking care of their kids. 3 million people saying they're worried about getting or spreading the virus. And a record number of people simply quitting their jobs, saying they want better pay, better working conditions, and more flexible working arrangements.
Lots of families and people are looking at their work-life balance and they're changing careers, or they want to change careers.
With the holidays quickly approaching, companies are scrambling in a war for workers, some offering higher wages and sign-up bonuses to attract new hires. Amazon offering up to a $3,000 signing bonus for its temporary workers, an average starting wage of $18 an hour. Companies also beefing up perks, including tuition assistance, student loan repayment, paid time off for volunteering, IVF coverage, even pet insurance. Then there's this.
I have bought each one of you 2 first-class tickets to anywhere in the world.
Spanx founder Sarah Blakely giving back to her employees. Along with those free flights, workers also got $10,000 to spend on their trip. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
UPS, Kohl's, Nordstrom, Macy's, and others are also adding workers for the holidays, with some offering sign-on bonuses for new hires and other incentives. Walmart says it plans to hire around 150,000 employees, most of them in permanent full-time positions, while Target is aiming to bring on 100,000 seasonal workers and 30,000 permanent supply chain employees. More than 500,000 jobs were created in the private sector in October. That's according to payroll processor ADP. 500,000 was more than expected. New jobs in the services sector led the gains, especially hiring in leisure and hospitality. Facebook says it will end the use of its facial recognition software amid criticism from its more than 1 billion users. Software scans users' faces in pictures and videos and will then notify them if someone else on the platform has posted images of them. The decision comes as growing concerns about the ethics of the technology swirl, with questions raised over privacy, racial bias, and accuracy. Still ahead, a Freeman pediatrician talks about the impact the FDA authorization of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids will have in the fight against the virus. And President Biden calls on Congress to pass his Build Back Better plan.
Huge savings this home.
Local officials respond to the emergency authorization of Pfizer's COVID vaccine for kids ages 5 to 11. Freeman pediatrician Kimra Ross says there are not any significant differences with this vaccine for the 5 to 11 age group versus the vaccine for everyone else. The main difference is the dosage, which is lower, of course. It's about a third of the dose for those 12 and older. Dr. Ross says this vaccine will have an impact on schools.
There are 28 million children in the United States between 5 and 11 that are going to be eligible for this vaccine. That's going to make a huge difference in how this school year goes forward.
Ross wants to remind parents that the vaccine has been very well studied, and she says trials indicate the vaccine is safe for this age group. President Biden today gave a clear message to congressional Democrats: get the Build Back Better bill to his desk. Democratic leaders in the House still say votes on that measure and the bipartisan physical infrastructure bill could come this week. But some members of the party say the gridlock over the legislation may have played a role in the Republicans' big wins in state elections yesterday. Deborah Alfarone has more from the White House.
President Biden returned home from Europe to little movement on his revised $1.75 trillion social spending bill, nor the roughly $1 trillion bipartisan bill to fix the country's physical infrastructure.
People need a little breathing room. They're overwhelmed. I think we have to just produce results for them to change their standard of living.
But there is one bright spot. The Democrats have reached a deal to lower the price of prescription drugs as part of the legislation, capping out-of-pocket Medicare costs at $2,000 and reducing the price of insulin. The agreement has the support of moderate Senator Kyrsten Sinema.
Fixing prescription drug pricing has consistently been a top issue for Americans year after year.
House Democrats also announced a plan to amend the social spending bill with 4 weeks of paid family and medical leave. But key Senate moderate Joe Manchin has signaled he's not on board.
Let's do it and do it right and not do it in this.
The stalling of the president's agenda, combined with massive wins for Republicans in Virginia's state elections Tuesday, has some Democrats pressuring their party for results.
I think we should have passed before Election Day.
The motion is not agreed to.
Meanwhile, Senate Republicans again blocked the Democrats' attempt to start debate on voting rights legislation, another key agenda item for President Biden. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
Senator Joe Manchin says he's working with Maine Republican Susan Collins on a bipartisan plan for paid family and medical leave. Later, Chanute, Kansas students get in the food truck business to learn about entrepreneurship.
But first, we got a few cold nights ahead of us, including tonight with the frost advisories and freeze warnings in place. But temperatures are going to be on the upward swing. Details next. Not only that, Hayslip will be tracking a pretty sure cold start as we get your Thursday morning underway, but we have seen an improvement in our weather setup as we went throughout the course of our Wednesday. Granted, we had some morning rain chances, but they cleared out after the morning dry. Then we just focused on quiet skies, still looking quiet from our live shot of indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. That sent us back, believe it or not, into the lower 50s for today with those few peaks of the sun. We went back to that territory a little earlier than expected, but we'll take it considering I was only expecting upper 40s for today. But even though the last of the rain cleared out, it wasn't much in the way of additional rainfall. Still this week, averaging out just to about 1/4 of an inch of rain. We're not dealing with rain chances anymore until deep in the middle of next week. But the mostly cloudy skies we had throughout the day continuing to try and break apart across the region. That is making sure that we keep not just the frost advisories out of southeastern Kansas in place, but the freeze warnings covering much of southwestern Missouri and back down the Grand Lake. These will stay in effect until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So definitely plan on a cold start for your Thursday before we heat things back up, or at least warm things back up. Clear skies up top, 40 in Joplin, a north breeze, trying to drop that dew point back. It's in the mid-30s now, but that's still a pretty good indication at the very least of how low temperatures will go. In fact, some of us are already in the 30s, 35 in Fort Scott, 39s from Yates Center to Chanute to Pittsburgh. Once you hop south of that, we are still seeing some lower 40s on the board, especially along and south of 44. But as we continue to get rid of some more of this cloud cover, everyone's pretty much set to drop back into the lower to middle 30s for tonight. Other than that, this area high pressure, even though it's keeping us quite in the chill tonight, it's keeping us dry at the very least. And not to mention the last upper level wave upstairs. It's moving along, working into the deep south, so that's why the rain chances cleared out of here after the morning. Then the focus shifts on this upper level ridge. That really comes into play, working in our favor as we go toward the weekend. In the short term, though, it's all about the temperatures continuing to drop as we continue to bounce back and forth between mostly clear and partly cloudy skies. And you can see how cold it could get. Maybe some lower 30s definitely on the board. Other than that, mid 30s, so definitely have the jackets ready before you head out the door in the morning. Fortunately, throughout the day tomorrow, I think the future track's overdoing cloud cover. I'm expecting partly sunny skies, but it has the right idea as far as where temperatures want to go for the afternoon. After our cold start around 34, 35 degrees, we'll go 49 by noon, and top highs out right around 53. Thursday night, Friday morning, mostly clear, but Lows back in the mid-30s. So we got to watch that for another potential frosty start. Then mostly sunny for much of Friday. Even with some late afternoon clouds, we'll be back in the mid-50s. A nice upward trend that will only continue for the rest of the weekend as this upper ridge builds in. Saturday, we're back in the lower 60s. Upper 60s for Sunday and Monday. Then sticking with Doug's pattern, we'll watch for our next chance for any rain or storms with a wave. That'll work in by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. But we got plenty of dry time to savor, dry time that will thankfully warm us back up. 53 tomorrow, 56 Friday, 62 on Saturday. Weekend's looking pretty good now, especially with highs back near 70 Sunday and Monday.
Trending in the correct direction, at least for the next few days.
About time, too.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hey, middle school students in Chanute got to try some new food trucks. That's because the trucks were designed by career course students as part of an entrepreneurial project. The project had students learn and apply culinary, accounting, supply chain, design, marketing, and managerial strategies.
That's kind of what we were going for, was something we would, if we saw on the menu, we would order it. It's called the stomach stuffer, is what our meal's name is called. So we basically chose that name because it's something, if we saw that, we would think, oh, that looks good and we want to order that.
Showcase took place at Royster Middle School. Student clubs and organizations across Crowder College are making sure other students always have something to eat. The groups are putting on a food drive through November 19th, collecting non-perishable food items and hygiene products. Those donations will benefit Watered Gardens and the Ryder Pantry, which students can access when in need.
It's going on until November 19th. We're collecting everything like canned food, everything that's not going to expire, and then the Rough Rider Pantry actually accepts like personal hygiene products and just things that students might want and need.
Just a reminder, our own food drive for area food pantries Feed the Four States, that kicks off on November 14th. Coming up in sports, the Missouri Southern Lions prepare to face a top 10 team in their final home game of the year. And the Chanute Blue Comets aim to move on to the state quarterfinals. Jacob Leonard has that and more straight ahead.
This weekend is a big weekend for the Missouri Southern football team. The Lions welcome in the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats on Saturday in their final home game of the season. Southern heads into this one with a 3-6 record through 9 games. On the other side, the Bearcats are 7-1. Up to number 6 in the country. The Lions have actually lost 25 consecutive games to the Bearcats. Now, if they want to snap that skid, the defense, which has been really good all year, will have to bounce back from a tough one. Last week, Southern allowed a season-high 588 yards to Missouri Western.
We just got to tackle better defensively. I mean, missed a lot of tackles, being more consistent and getting off the field on third down, I think. That's what we mainly need to improve on.
I think the biggest thing was just us getting back to the fundamentals, us challenging them. You know, I think this was one of the first times since Fort Hays maybe they came out and kind of brought the fight to us. They were a little more physical than we were, and so I think it's important for our guys to kind of take a step back and get back to the physical brand of football that we've done for, quite frankly, 7 out of the 9 weeks.
Big news for this weekend's Chiefs-Packers game here. Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers will sit out Sunday's game in Kansas City after testing positive for COVID-19. Because he is considered unvaccinated, Rodgers has to quarantine for a minimum of 10 days. Can't return until November 13th. Now, with the reigning league MVP out, 2020 first-round pick Jordan Love is expected to make his first career start on Sunday against the Chiefs. Well, this Friday is the biggest game of the season for the Chanute Blue Comets. Chanute hosts Bishop Miege with a 4A regional title on the line. The Blue Comets are 8-1 this season, winning 8 straight heading into Friday. We caught up with Coach Frizzell to talk about facing Bishop Miege and what it would mean to move on to the state quarterfinals.
It would mean a lot, and I think it would be just another springboard. You know, more confidence in ourselves, and you know, if we can go get a win and play well Friday. It'd be huge for our team. Our kids are really excited. I think for some people, playing a team like Miege is intimidating. Our kids have responded really well this week, and they're ready to go. Our coaches are excited. You know, we've been really working hard to figure out what we need to do to put ourselves in position to be successful.
In Class 3A, the Riverton Rams have a regional championship game of their own on Friday night. The Rams host Osage City, looking to move on to the state quarterfinals. Now, Riverton is 7-2 overall after beating Eureka in their playoff opener last week. 7 wins is the most for the program since 2010. That will definitely be a battle of two different styles of football, with Riverton relying on the ground game and Osage City kind of like to sling it around a little bit.
We don't throw the ball a whole lot, okay? And I told my receivers, I said, and of course, you know, our receivers are our defensive backs. I said, now you get a chance to catch some footballs on Friday night because they'll throw the ball. They'll throw it a lot. And so we'll have to be ready. Two different type of teams will line up and run it, and then they'll throw the football. So it'll be interesting, you know. And I told the kids, you hear about how good Osage is, but on the other hand, we're pretty good too, you know. And I want those kids to be confident. Confidence is the main thing in a football player, you know, to have that confidence. And once you gain that, you got a chance to win a lot of games.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Corporal Michael Gates served in the U.S. Army during Operation Iraqi Freedom. His hometown, Uniontown, Kansas, and we are proud to salute Corporal Michael Gates. He's tonight's four-state hero. They're not just for beauty pageant winners and toddlers. 2 tiaras set to hit the auction block are catching the attention of jewelers and collectors. The 2 pieces of headgear are parts of jewelry believed to have been owned by Josephine Bonaparte. Historians believe Napoleon Bonaparte's sister Carolyn gave them to his first wife as a gift. The first one is gold, of course, with red engravings of classical portraits. The second one is gold, of course, with cameo portraits of Greek deities, including Zeus, Medusa, and Pan. The tiaras are expected to fetch about $700,000 at auction. So if you're looking for a jeweled gold tiara with some historical value, this is your chance. $700,000.
Give or take.
Yeah, give or take. Probably more give than take. The weather pretty cold tonight.
Yeah, lower to middle 30s tonight, but we're back to 53 tomorrow, 56, and looking good for the weekend.
Final sports note.
Pitt State has a huge game against Washburn coming up on Saturday. They're both 7-2. It's Military Appreciation Day and also Senior Day. We'll hear from the Gorillas right here tomorrow night.
Very good. Don't forget our morning news at 5 a.m. and let's make it a great tomorrow.
Salon service is